Hey guys, how y'all doing today? It's a Dizzy One here, back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about how to create a roster in 2K20. The first thing you're going to want to do is go to Features. There are actually two ways to create a roster. The fastest way and quickest way is to actually just click Create Roster. There is a more complex and detailed way to create one, and that would be by creating a draft class. We'll talk about this one a little later on in the video if you're interested, but for now, most people just want to create a roster, so let's go do that. There are three options to choose from. For our purposes today, we're just going to go with the official 2K Sports roster. This roster is the roster that 2K regularly updates throughout the season. Eventually, if you keep clicking L1 or R1, you're going to get to the All Players list. This is the list from all classic teams, all-time teams, and created players if you do have them, if they are in your roster. If you go one further to the left by clicking L1, you'll go ahead and see your created players. They're not automatically in your roster. You do have to select them and put them either in free agency or a team. For our purposes, we're going to be using Joe Bolivius as our test subject, and instead of putting him on free agency, we're going to add him to a team. We'll try the Philadelphia 76ers, but it's telling us that they have 15 players and that is the max roster limit, so we can't add them unless we take away players from their roster. But Boston does have a spot open, so now, if we keep going over to the Boston Celtics, Bolivius is now a member of the current Boston Celtics. There are a couple things you can choose to do with these players. You can release them to free agency, trade them with another team, assign them to another team as long as that team has less than 15 players, or delete them from the current roster. For our purpose, we're going to go ahead and trade him with another team. Remember that you don't have to trade them with current NBA rosters. You could trade them with classic NBA teams like the 2015 to 2016 Golden State Warriors, or even all-time teams like the all-time 76ers. We'll go ahead and make the trade for Allen Iverson. So now, if you use this roster, Joe Bolivius is going to be a member of the all-time 76ers, and Allen Iverson is now a member of the current Boston Celtics. There are a couple ways to edit players, and if you are just editing an individual player, you could probably just go to Edit Player in this screen. But if you are editing a whole roster, it might make more sense to go into Quick Edit mode. By pressing Start or Options, depending on the console you're on, you'll activate Quick Edit mode, and there are three ways to edit players in this mode. The first way is by editing individual categories. The second way is by editing things by column, and the third way is by editing things by row. Everything you need to know is going to be down in the bottom left section of the screen where it says Edit Column, Tendencies, that sort of stuff. So if I want to make Allen Iverson a point guard, I will just go ahead and use my right stick down to make him a point guard. But if I want to make everybody younger, I'm going to hit X or A, depending on your console, and that will allow me to edit the column. So now I can make everybody 1 year younger. But if I just want to edit Allen Iverson's stats and no one else's, I hit X again, and this time I'm editing his row. Only his stats will be affected. And let's say I want to make him an 80 overall. This is the quickest way to go ahead and do that. So now that we've edited everything, Allen Iverson is now a point guard, everyone is 1 year younger, and Allen Iverson is an 80 overall player. To make sure to save it, you would just hit Start or Options again, and you will confirm your changes. So Allen Iverson is now an 80 overall point guard who is 25 years old. One thing you can't change about this are his career stats and awards. You'll notice that if I go into his player card, his stats are still there from every single year that he's played. You can't change that by just doing this. The only way to change it is by actually going into Create Draft Class before going to Create Roster. This is the more complex and detailed way of getting players. You would have to go to Historic Draft Class, and since Allen Iverson was drafted in 1996, we'll go ahead and select that year. There you see Allen Iverson, and we're going to go to Edit Player, and all the way down to Export Player DNA. You'll see that I have a lot of players here that are already exported, and Allen Iverson is one of them. But for those of you who are trying to make more complex rosters, you would hit Add New Player, and you will either save it and share it online, or you'll save it to your own copy of NBA 2K20. And then you're going to register a name for the saved player DNA. I've already done it, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel. But I will show you a finished roster that I have made. So now that I've exported all those player DNAs, I'm going to go to a user-created roster called Dizzy Rookies. This is one that I haven't shared to the public. It's just one that I'm using on my own because I enjoy the game. But if I go all the way to created players, you'll see that all the rookies that I exported are on this list. And eventually we'll find Allen Iverson. And if we go to check all of his career stats, you'll find that there are no career stats because he is technically a rookie. He has no career awards because he is a rookie. If we were to just go ahead and do this the original way from create roster, we can change his age to whatever we want, but he will have all of those stats and awards on his career still. So when he retires, his career stats are going to be exaggerated. This way, if you're trying to start a league from scratch, it's going to be a little more fair and a little more balanced to what his actual stats are going to be when he retires. There are two things I want to mention. Players like Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell don't have their draft class in the game because 2K doesn't have their rights. It only goes up until 1970. So Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Julius Erving, you can't change their career stats or their award history. Only their ages, their attributes, things like that. The last thing I want to mention is for players that you do an exported DNA of, sometimes the game doesn't recognize their name and it'll give them a random nickname. Most likely they'll call them ABC, and it kind of ruins the immersion. So you do kind of have to take that into consideration if you are planning to do the exported DNA of players from a draft class. But that's about it. If you are making a roster, this is what you need to do. It's a lot of work, but in the end, it's going to be a lot of fun. You can either share it or play it on your own, but thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. See ya in the next video.